I've been having way too much fun. Is this Colm? I think I see Colm getting called.
He's coming.
Oh boy. I'm excited.
What's happening?
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Hello. Ah! It's Colm. Hello.
Hello.
It's a dev. I'm talking to a dev. Oh my god.
Welcome to the Supershow, Colm.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, dude. This is exciting. This is super exciting. I don't know if you people have been playing Guilds of Dungeoneering or if you've even seen it, but it's it's good. It's exciting. It's some pretty amazing, cool shit. Sorry. Hi, Colm. Hi.
Hello. I looked you up. I thought you were a dog.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes. This is actually the real star of the show. This is the only reason people actually tune in. It's because this furry little. Yeah, he's ready. Yeah, this furry little creature right here. But yeah, we've been slowly mining through your game and such like that. I'm really excited to ask you about your story and your journey for this because I started following your devlog. You started this thing in October of 2013.
Yep.
And you have been steadily updating it. I saw in your very first post on your devlog that you actually made your code open source.
Initially, yeah.
And what made you decide that?
All right, 1 second.
Oh, well, sorry. Oh.
No, your guys are good. It's me.
What's up, Kitty? No, Kitty, stay. Kitty, stay.
I'm here. I'm just half here. I'm like trying to update things. Don't mind me. I'm the invisible shadow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, okay, you know what? What's really exciting about this game is that the game really speaks for itself. So maybe I should just shut the fuck up. When you're first like greeted, you're greeted with this.
Yes.
This is the Guild of Dungeoneering on a quest we're never veering. Oh, to be a Dungeoneer.
Swimming in pools of gold. This is a Guild of Dungeoneering. All the monsters keep appearing. Oh, to be a Dungeoneer, whose stories will be told. Oh, what's that sound? I hear a noise.
Something's coming, girls and boys.
Up in the hills and far away. The Guild of Dungeoneering. Curse and swear, but don't despair. The way out of here seems over there. I think we're lost, but what do we care? We're the Guild of Dungeoneering. Fuck! When you get that, how can you not get excited? Holy shit! So I've been playing a little bit. I'm
gonna assume that the music was playing. I've muted the stream to not double up here because I'm talking to you via Skype. But I assume you were singing along. It wasn't just you.
Yes. I was singing along with the amazing.
The a cappella version you just delivered was pretty good.
Yeah, I like to think he was just serenading you, Colm.
It was nice.
I was just serenading you. It was all for you, Colm. It was all for you.
Beautiful. Thank you. So I can't take credit for that. That's Steve Gregan.
Steve Gregan.
The composer for Guild of Dungeoneering. He's also not the singer there for that track, but he basically produced the whole soundtrack. The whole soundtrack's original. He's written about it on his site. I'll drop a link into chat about that actually.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, and
it's really good. And that tune is based on an old Irish folk song with the words changed.
Really?
And we did a few. Yeah.
Oh my god.
A song called "Follow Me Up to Carlo."
Follow me up to Carlo, because it's just, I mean, I hear it and I get excited.
So good.
And then, just to do us justice, we're going to just start a new game, just so you can get the tone that you get right away. I gotta say that this is a game that.
This is the Guild of Dungeoneering. All across the land they're cheering. Oh, to be a Dungeoneer.
Oh, Snowshoe, I am so for that.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful. It just pulls you right in. The Ivory League of Explorers, the noblest, most virtuous guild in the land. Pfft, those insufferable jerks! I'll show them. They won't think me so grossly incompetent when I have my own guild. I've bought a small hall in the bad part of town with the gold I borrowed for them. I've staked out a dungeon that's ripe for the picking. I've even found a chump who can do all the dirty work while I sit down and watch the coins roll in. Take my father. Like my father always told me, there's always someone stupider than yourself. Well, he never really said it to me. Actually, he said it to everyone but me. Hey, wait a minute. I love it.
So you can see, yeah, our kind of silly sense of humor pervades the whole game. I've never been able to make a serious game.
Now, did you do all the writing for it?
I did a little bit of it, but a lot of credit goes there actually to the artist, who's kind of a bit of a jack of all trades, Fred Mangan. So he did all the art, but he also did a lot of that writing of the story bits.
Uh-huh. So, okay, I
funnily
noticed
enough-
in the very... Oh, I'm sorry?
Funnily enough, we designed the whole game, including all the 3 major regions that you kind of quest through as you play through the campaign. So you kind of start in the grasslands, you go to this jungle, and you go to mines. We created all of those areas, all the monsters, all the bosses. We hadn't done the final boss fight, the final kind of quest you do to win the game. And then I had to write the story to kind of tie it all together. So the story came about as a way to tie those 3 themed kind of zones you work through together.
Uh-huh.
So it was just basically we're like, the month before launch, we realized we were just doing that story in that nice way, the little pop-up, and we hadn't written it yet.
Well, it really ties together very, very well. Now, I noticed in your very first iteration, like when you started all the way this back in October of 2013, you had a completely different system set in place. And then what made you finally decide on these cards? And I'm seeing that it's a lot. It's very, very heavily card-based. And see, I put in a card, and right away I get a new Dungeoneer, and then we get more and more Dungeoneers and such.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of like board games. Really gotten into board games. I still am a massive fan of modern board games, and that kind of just drew me. I actually made my own card game, like a physical card game, a couple months before starting this. So it was just in my mind to make card games, and I really like some of their nice intrinsic properties. So I just use them for everything, basically.
This kind of almost reminds me a little bit almost of kind of like a Munchkin kind of game,
Yeah.
like Munchkins.
We're kind of in a same parallel world as them, because we're making fun of D&D, we're making fun of adventurers. The adventurers are often the butt of the jokes.
Okay.
But there's actually very little direct link between us and Munchkin.
Okay, yeah.
I've played it once.
Yeah, I've played Munchkin just like only a handful of times or whatever, and then like this you kind of build it and stuff, and I kind of see a little bit things like this, but yeah, the way it's set up and how I feel like I'm really delving into a dungeon here. This reminds me of a lot of oh my goodness, this other little roguelike little moving about thing, but I love the art direction, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. You started with like an 8-bit art direction. First of all, were those your own graphics? And then second of all, when you decided to go with another art direction, how did that feel?
Wonderful. So the original art you saw, if you dig into that devlog and look at the first few weeks of work, that was always temporary. So that's free art that people made that people can like prototype with, and that's really helpful for me. So I'm a programmer. Okay. That's my background. So I would prototype stuff with free art, and particularly with this game where it was this is the first game that I basically is a commercial game. I've made kind of game jam games before. So I knew I was going to, make this bigger and try and charge money for it. Mm-hmm. So I always knew it had to have original art and its own style. So yeah, that was temporary, and I basically did that to kind of get the ball rolling and to build something and to see, is there any demand for this? Is this even an idea that's worth pursuing? And then I went and found an artist to partner with.
I find, and another thing that really tickles me pink about the art, is like I'll pick an item, I defeat a monster, I pick up an item, and all of a sudden the item appears on my avatar right here, and
Nice,
to
isn't it?
me it's like this little tiny touch that I'm just like, thank you. You know, nothing bugs me more than when I see a almost like an avatar like this, where I see that there's like a thing like this, and this avatar doesn't change; it just stays the same. But here they consolidate right onto the avatar, and that's a really cool. It's a really cool thing, and it's
And
just
the
fun.
nice thing there is, so we're a tiny team. It started just me, then very quickly Fred, but both of us were just doing it in our free time back in 2013. Um, and I gave up my job 6 months later and went full time on the game. And then for the final 6 months, which would have been all of the start of 2015, first half of 2015, there were 5 of us working on the game.
Yo,
But it was a
congrats
really
on
small
quitting
team.
your job. How did that feel, by the way?
That felt very nice. But I did quit my job to not get paid. So.
Okay.
But it was cool. I was very happy with that.
Oh,
Sorry,
man.
but just about what you said about the art working, it's incredible. It works for us because our art is like so lo-fi, low tech. There's no animation. If we were like, a really nice looking isometric style thing with your hero sprite who needs 8 different directions and animations and the attack and stuff, we wouldn't have been able to do that. We wouldn't have been able to put like the stool and then the funny hat and the paper hat. The fact is that all our animations are fake. There's no actual animations. We're just using little paper tokens that we wiggle around. That meant we could do that. We could do the paper doll and just layer on, whatever they're wearing or the stool kind of over their hand.
I think wiggling paper dolls is totally legit animation. So there. It looks great. It's
It
executed
does look
really
great.
well.
It's so funny, yeah. But it literally is like just wiggling things.
It's so fun. I really love there's these cloud effects that go around, as you start discovering places and such. There's a real tone of discovery, and here is a scene that I have been seeing a lot of. Defeat. The end comes for all Dungeoneers, chumps, and heroes alike. Need something to wipe those tears? What about this insurance policy? Besides, they get their very own headstone in your guild graveyard. I've really filled out my graveyard. What was your choice? How did you choose to? How did you come about death and punishment and such in this game? What were your philosophies on that?
So the inspiration, it's very loose by the time the end product is there. But the inspiration was to be kind of roguelike. So loss is okay. It's okay to lose in a roguelike game. You play for a while and you lose and you take what you've learned to go back in and play again. And I was playing some roguelikes that had a kind of progressive metagame. So, if you get to X score, you unlock a new character.
Yeah.
I really liked those. I didn't like the pure ones that were just, it's always the same. And it's just you who gets better. I like the ones that also gave me some extra toys. So I felt like a bit of progression even if I lost a few times.
Okay.
And that kind of is what the guild is. That's the meta progression. And each particular dungeoneer running around a dungeon is like a go in a roguelike. So that was kind of the framework that it started with.
I see.
So you losing and us then casting you, the player, as the guild master and being completely abusive and like not caring about their chumps.
Send them all to die.
Yeah, it just kind of came naturally.
Yeah. Okay.
It was kind of the obvious step to poke fun.
I like it, and it is really kind of like you are churning out guys to the slaughter. Sometimes it's almost kind of fun to have them die, but also there is a community out there that does eventually want to keep and hold on, and which actually it gave birth to you choosing to create scars, and how
right, yeah.
how did you go about with that mechanic, coming
So
to that decision?
We launched the game last July.
Mhm.
It's been out 7 months now. We're still working on it. It's still all we're working on, actually. So when it launched, you know, a lot of people were playing it. Got a lot of reviews, a lot of feedback on the game. And one thing that came up again and again was my guys are too disposable. The Dungeoneers, I just don't care if they die. I just immediately get a new one back and just send them into the kind of to die. Even though we let you rename them, we let you look at them in the graveyard, I just felt it wasn't doing enough. It wasn't giving you that little bit of spark of this guy's different from the last one.
Yeah.
So Battle Scars is something we put in that was a little bit experimental to try and combat that. And it wasn't, so one thing I wanted to avoid was kind of like leveling them up. So a core conceit in the game is that even if you win this quest, the very next quest, when you send that same guy in, he's back to level 1 with no equipment.
Yeah.
So your guys always reset. So they're always the same at the start of a quest, whether they were someone you've won 10 quests with or someone who's just new to replace the last guy in the graveyard. So what I didn't want to do was a design where you felt like you needed to grind up a particular hero to get, you know, certain perks that made him good enough to take on a boss or something like that.
Okay, so you really wanted the power to be in the items that you can find, or that you unlock?
But particularly with the Battle Scar system, what I was trying to do was give you more of a story, a little more individuality, without making it something where you need to level up your guys. So it's not about building power necessarily. It's about good things and bad things that they kind of gain over time, just to kind of sometimes lead to funny things. So, for example, you might be playing with a ranger who is like really about like, you know, the physical attributes. We kind of have a physical, magical, two different types of damage, and you might get these battle scars that suddenly change your usual strategy with your rangers. So you're
Okay.
like, oh, normally I go heavy onto these, you know, cards that give me more blade attacks, but with this weird thing that he just got, I have an alternate strategy, or that's not going to work. I need to change my strategy.
Yeah, I noticed there's
that
some
was our
pretty
kind of
painful
goal.
scars and some pretty amazing scars. Like you start with Growth 1, which would be a heal, or you start with Bash, or you can actually lose a health. Now, I noticed that you're at 2 different scars, and is one always negative with a positive twist, and the other one 2 positives, or is it? How does that work again?
So we released Scars in our update in November, and we just a couple weeks ago released a change to Scars. So they used to work where you just get them at random, and they could be good or bad, or kind of a mix. Now they are always, if they're bad, they always evolve into something that's both good and bad. And if they're purely good, they end up getting a slight drawback. So the scars are always mixed. You can only ever have 2 of them.
Okay.
So I'm much happier with them now. And kind of made a little misstep there, I think, with our first iteration.
Well, I noticed. I noticed that there was a lot of blowback with your first release and such. Now, with your first introduction of that. Now, this game has been in development since 2013, and honestly, I gotta say, to me, as far as indie development, you seem like a real success story. You know, your game was featured on the front of Steam. You said that part of your original plan was 1 part marketing, and then the other 2 parts working on the game and such. But 1 part was marketing was always a big part of your strategy from the beginning, correct?
Yeah, that's one of the things I kind of push for is, as a dev, particularly actually I think as an indie, is to allocate time for marketing to build up your game's brand.
Yes.
From the beginning. Like, allow time for it. It takes time and takes effort. And you can't simply just make your game and hope it'll be discovered or blow up. Oh, actually, hilarious. The counterpoint to this, he's in chat. The guy who made Shower with Your Dad Simulator. I saw him chatting here. So he made a game that is so amazing, and the hook is so cool that it blew up. He didn't need to market it. Though he did spend loads of effort and market it really well. He made an amazing trailer.
Well,
so
I gotta say, you do have to make a game that does sell itself. And the other thing is, though, this game really, I don't have to really talk too much about the game. And I could just play it, and just watching it, you're enchanted. The music pulls you in, the narrative pulls you in, you're laughing. And the other great thing is it's so light and light humor. It's a really great game that I noticed I got really pissed off a few times. I was just like, fuck! You know, because some of the things, you know, you're kind of like, you have to have the right class, I guess, in the right situation or something, you know. And then I would walk away, I would storm away, and then I found myself back within 5 to 10 minutes, probably a lot less than that.
I think one of the strongest parts of the design is the battle system. So very often, you win a battle and you're on 1 or 2 health. They go really close. They go really, because we reset your health back to full after every fight. So we're able to set the balance so that fights get very close. And if you're not paying attention even for a minute, you can easily lose. But if you're paying attention and play well and kind of hold back a card, you're like, no, I think he's got a more dangerous thing. Like, the knowledge works. You can pull off wins sometimes that you thought were impossible, and I really like that. And credit there goes to Ollie, who was the designer. He left then, but up until launch he was working with us, and he came up with specifically this battle system where you can see the monster's card first and you have to react to it, and it really works.
Yeah, another thing I really like, oh my gosh, just even being inside the battle, I noticed that, like, at first, there's really nice touches that as a gamer you don't see, but your brain knows, man. You know, and like it's like sometimes it's like the little sprites moving, you know, like the little firing of the fist or the magic sprite. I love how they travel back and forth. It's just these little fun things. So we just got this veteran scar, so we start with Blade 1 now, and I noticed that so we get Blade 1, and if I get another weapon with Blade 2 or something, it stacks up to Blade 3, and so I get 3 cards, correct?
Yeah, so this is a thing we haven't explained very well in-game, but if you play enough, you probably realize it, but it's not something we've done a good job, you know, really showing you. But yeah, there's an intermediate layer where you get levels of skill. So you've got Blade 1. If you get another item that gives you Blade 1, they add up and you have Blade 2 total. And the cards that they grant you are specific. So at Blade level 1, you get a specific card. At Blade level 2, it's another specific card. They go up to 4. And by the time you hit 4 in any of those kind of skill trees, they're really powerful.
Okay, so it caps at 4 then.
Really good skill. Yeah.
Okay.
For those player skills.
You know, it kind of made me a little bit sad. I saw it's really the only gripe I have with the stupidity skill. as it stacks, you know, I was seeing that it only gives me more stupidity. It doesn't like give me like worse stupidity cards. You know, like trip and fall on your own blade or something like that.
That's a good idea.
But I mean, it's really fun, and what I really enjoyed about the introduction of the cards and such was that as I was building up, I was really enjoying how I could take one class and build them completely in different ways through using my cards. A lot like I would equate it almost to like League of Legends, as far as taking a hero and customizing them in a completely different new way.
Yeah, you're actually doing deck building.
Mm-hmm.
So each class, when you go into a mission for the first time, they have 6 cards specific to that class, and each class is very different. So you're playing there the chump. All their cards are awful. You'll unlock some other classes later on. So they have a starting deck of cards, and as you find them loot, and the kind of loot you choose and how you combine them gives them different cards. So it's that feeling of deck building each time you run a quest.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I find that there's some scenarios where you want to build your deck in a certain way, you know, and have everything work. You need to have a certain approach to a certain boss. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just bad.
That's definitely the hope.
Okay.
That's definitely the design, is that certain monsters are weak to certain things and certain classes are better against them, and the same with the bosses. That's entirely by design, but
Okay.
still, because the way the loot system works, you can go in with, like the cat burglar is this like physical damage only, no blocking kind of class at the start, but if you give them the right loot, you can kind of work around that in a way.
Well, you know
so
what?
there's certain bosses they'd be at a disadvantage against.
I think we've seen enough of the chump, so we're going to... Actually, you mentioned the cat burglar. Let's have some fun. So I have a game here, a game load. So you guys saw the kind of like the intro, the mechanics, and all that kind of stuff. So here are all the classes. Okay, almost all the classes actually. I haven't unlocked all of them. Okay. And
this is in how much time? Like, when did I get you the game? Like a couple days ago?
Nah, maybe I've been playing a little bit. No, I have been working long and hard on this, and just completely obliterating everything.
What's your graveyard look like?
Oh, yeah, let's take a look at the graveyard. Let's see here. Where is that graveyard anyway? Crap, which one is the which one is it? Is it this one? No, that's the trophy room. Wow.
Up and right from there.
I kind of tried to make a design. Yeah, so this is our graveyard. We got a lot dead here. What I really like about the graveyard is a lot of the tombstones get their own little epitaph and stuff. Didn't get out much. I had a lot of level 1 deaths.
That's not too bad a graveyard for the size of your guild. That's not too bad. Oh, I see Cub.
Yeah. Oh, I died back there. Well, there I am. Here I am. And then Wicked's all the way over here. He had a pretty pathetic death too. He was a drunken sailor. And then here's the other end. So yeah, the graveyard gets really, really big. But what I did find that as you start expanding your guild, this is another thing. So I really like your tier system a lot. Okay, I love tier systems. So when you first start the game, here you can start with a cat burglar, or you can start with a bruiser, or a mime, or an apprentice. And I believe the price to unlock these is
50 gold.
60 gold? Okay. And then the next is 500.
50.
Oh, 50.
Yeah.
50. Okay. So 50
And then I
gold.
think 2,000 is what we set the tier 3 ones at.
Yeah, and then 2,000 is going to be the ultimate top class, you know? And yes, I did kill you, Ascani, I'm sorry. But the top tier classes, so you can kind of see the progression. My first progression was here with the bruiser, and you can click on them and you can see the skills right here. And then also what I noticed was that each class gets a really cool trait. And I love the traits. And then I noticed you started taking some of the traits of the lower classes and then placing those traits onto items. So you can actually start building multi-class characters with just one little character and really play the way that you want. And I'm in love with your bruiser class.
It's a very strong one, yeah.
Oh, it was so much
and it's fun.
Yeah, and building up the barbarian, and then when you started introducing, when you introduced the sailors and this pirate expansion, when did this expansion come out actually?
So we actually released so the game launched in mid-July, and we released the pirate expansion in mid-September or late September.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked on it straight after launch, and we got it together and released it. Yeah, it's quite big. It's about a third extra on top of the game. So there's 3 new classes. There's a whole new region that's the same size as the jungle again. And actually, having that Pirates Cove expansion adds a whole load of loot as well throughout the game. So
Okay.
it's not kind of limited to just the new area.
I know I've been quiet. I've been letting Cub kind of geek out a little bit at you. But I
Sorry.
do have I do have a game dev related question as far as that goes, because that's me. I'm a game dev. You're saying that it only took you a couple of months to create this new Pirates expansion. Is that primarily just creating new content, or was there a lot of new features that you had added? Like the development process for the initial stuff, I'm assuming took more than 2 months.
Yeah, it was a couple of years, really.
I'm just surprised to hear that the update rolled out so quickly.
Yeah, it's because we didn't innovate that much. So it's kind of, I do want to go back and do like a really big expansion at some point, but we're actually planning on doing a couple of smaller expansions. And I don't know if either of you are board gamers, but there's a board game I like called Descent. It's like miniatures, dice, cards, like D&D in a box, and it's really good. The way they do expansions is kind of what I'm kind of drawing on. So they have like little mini expansions that just give you like 2 new quests and a couple of new miniatures and a new type of monster, and then they have other expansions that are bigger that give you a whole new campaign to play through. So I was kind of thinking along those lines, where Pirates Cove kind of adds horizontally to the game, so it adds to the existing game. It doesn't take it further. And that meant it was kind of quick for us, quick-ish. I mean, all we had to do was produce new content rather than new systems.
Now, is your end game content, speaking of like this content adding on and such, now adding in this, what is it? I noticed in the map. So if I go exploring here, okay, I noticed this boss rematch, boss rematch, boss rematch. Was that always a part of the game, or was this a recent addition?
That's pretty new. That was actually released in November at the same time as the new Scars.
Okay.
So before that, you could play a quest once and then you could never go back.
Mm-hmm.
You could only go forward. So for, some people wanted a way to earn more gold. There was actually a very genuine problem, which was you could reach the jungle and unlock a bunch of tier 2 loot upgrades, but not unlock a tier 2 class. And you've seen the kind of difficulty spike of reaching the new area. Then you could be basically stuck. So we needed a way that you could go back and replay some of the easier quests with your lower tier guys, so you could still get the money to buy the higher tier stuff.
Okay.
So boss rematch is how we made that possible.
I see. Because I gotta say, it's a lot of fun, and I actually use it now as a system to actually build up scars.
Yeah. So I mean, that's also why it was released at the same time. So it's another way to replay and bring your guys back out for extra runs.
Okay, and it's a lot of fun. I gotta say, these boss fights are tough. They're scary at times. They're chasing me down. It's a lot of fun. It is a good time. See, he's right there. He's right there. He's looking at me. Oh wait, you can't see him. He's right there. He's right there. Do you see him? He's hiding, and he's gonna get me. Okay, and he's gonna come down this hallway. I can only move 1 tile. All right, and I only have a few turns before that dragon's gonna bite my ass, and I'm scared. Okay, it's just so much fun, and I really enjoy how a lot of the boss encounters are different. They're all unique.
They're almost always timed.
Yeah, I gotta put myself out of the way here.
Almost always the other missions you can kind of do at your own pace. And most of the boss missions, they're either chasing you, so they're going to catch you eventually, or there's a big timer, like, we're going to come fight you in 7 turns.
I like it when they chase me down. Oh my goodness. That reminds me of the Black Knight. That's a boss fight that's a lot of fun. Was there? Do I see any Monty Python influences in there or something? I think I see a few.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a Black Knight with no arms may have a reference to Monty Python.
Did you sneak any other pop culture influences in here that you're kind of like?
Monty Python comes back. There's another Monty Python reference in the game. You'll see when you reach the ending.
Really?
It doesn't spoil anything for you. Yeah, it's just another little joke. It'll be obvious when you see it. There's lots of jokes. Have you seen some throwaway ones? Have you been to the mines and seen the blind worm?
Yes, I did. I did see the blind worm. I felt really bad
Blind
for
worm
him.
has a little seeing eye dog.
Yeah, I did.
We don't mention that Fred just drew in. So we were saying, oh, we need upgraded versions of this worm. We need, a stronger worm for the mines, and so he did the blind worm, and just drew that in.
That's what I really love about the artwork. The artwork, the mechanics, it's almost like a really, really fine-tuned engine where the artwork, the physics, how the cards bounce around and how all the effects hit each other, and then the music all tied together. They harmonize. I would say this is like this is like you got some really good feng shui going on with this game.
Yeah, we spent quite a lot of effort on. It's a game dev term. It's a really silly word. Juice. Which is just the nice feeling you get from doing any action in a game. So it's like good sound feedback, good bounce, good things moving nicely. Hearthstone does it amazingly. Anytime you hover over anything in Hearthstone, even if you're just looking in the menu, just everything animates nicely. When you drag a card out, it lands with a thumb. It's done really well. So I tried to basically emulate that and try and have some feedback for the player with everything you're doing. We mostly do it with tweens, where just things bounce a little bit, animate nicely, and that's a really cheap way of doing things if you have a 2D game.
I see.
If you hand animate everything you do, that's harder. So when you see the guy talking and the little tokens bouncing, that's like 2 seconds on a line of code that it's really simple to implement.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure that there must be, I mean, so like you said, just hovering over something and then something responding to my indicator, it's very satisfying. Just with me putting the indicator over this card, it darkens and then information pops up, and I really love how my hearts pop off. I am going to try and do that. Oh, I should have done the hearts. Oh, darn it. Wait, I got this. It's fun. It's fun. I love discovering all the cards coming in and countering.
It's funny, so some of the stuff we kind of tweak.
Mm-hmm.
So one example is when you start a battle, everything pops in, and then you and the monster kind of fly from behind it and land on the kind of little scroll where the battle takes place. And we basically knew we wanted to do that, and Steve, the composer, put together kind of a big kind of thump noise, and just lining up the exact second of when that impact should land and when the animation should land. It's funny because we were kind of doing it over and over, and when it was slightly off, we were like, yeah, that seems nice, and when it was just right, we were like, ooh, it was like, it just felt right.
Okay, so wow, okay. So it just felt good. Now that's showmanship. That's awesome. And it
gave
shows
impact to this just little, a battle is starting. Thump.
Yeah, I get excited. I mean, I just get really excited when this game excites me. I gotta say, it gets me excited. Now, there's another thing that gets me really pissed off, though, is this damn seaweed helmet that you made. Okay, it's so beautiful. It's so awesome. It's so great.
Comes with a terrible curse.
But that decay.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever put it on.
Oh my god, I am going to show you how debilitating this thing is. It's got these amazing buffs, and it's a level 1 item, But if you get hurt, if something touches you or grazes you, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. So I warn you all out there listening.
I like this because, if you kind of look at yourself as Cortez there, he's wearing a barrel. He's put seaweed on top of his head. Like, he deserves to die. He's the
That's
worst
true.
adventurer.
That's true. That's another thing. All of these adventures, they really have a whole story going on. So, oh my God, you're right. Cortez, he fell off of his ship. He held onto a barrel, floating about. Freaking landed on this crazy dragon lair place. Put the barrel on. Found a sword dug up somewhere, and the seaweed stuck to his head. Let's see if he survives. Now pixies are attacking. And this is another thing that's really fun about card games, and especially this game itself. Talk about an imagination game. You know, there's a lot of games out there now where it just throws everything at you, you know? But here, it really plays to your imagination, and right now we are getting attacked by a bunch of angry pixies. They're going to hit us with neurotoxin, and if it is successful, we have to discard a card. So you can feel it, like it's going to hit you, and then you just lose something. You're like, ah! You know, you're losing it. You're losing your shit because of these goddamn pixies. However, if I block and repel, those little fuckers ain't going to take my cards away. Ha ha ha! It's exciting. It's fun. I love the mechanics. Sorry, geeking out again.
A nice thing there is you've just invented a story.
I know.
That's wonderful. You know, like we just kind of give Pixie certain skills, you have certain skills, and you can just kind of invent a story about what happens. You know, that's not prescribed by us. We didn't create that story. That's just your mashup of what's happening, basically. And that's cool. Because, you know, as basically indie devs, you have to maximize that. You have to, I think, make tools that people can then make their own stories from.
Because I guess
rather than try and prescribe everything.
Well, you are operating from a disadvantage because, well, let's face it, you don't have the multi-millions of dollars and everything like that to just throw and make everything all blech, you know? So, like, you have to really use a strategy, and I think of almost like, I know a lot of, like, the movies and stuff that I love, you know? That are made on, you hear later that they were made on this tiny ass budget, and you're like, holy shit, because like Star Wars, huge budget cuts everywhere, tons of cuts, tons of stress on the creatives that were making it, and that's what gave birth to that beautiful, amazing piece of artwork. And sometimes I guess the trials that you guys have to go through in order to create this really gives birth to some amazing. I love to see how people get creative in order to compensate. And I mean,
constraints, yeah. You know, constraints will make you creative.
Yeah.
So I mean, this happens a lot. Hopefully, it doesn't happen to me. But you know, if we went back now and made a game with 100 people for 3 years, it probably wouldn't be that good.
Well, isn't it funny when you think of like Final Fantasy, you know? And Final Fantasy 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that kind of stuff, how it went. And then all of a sudden now they're at this big stage and they're trying to appeal to all the masses and stuff like that. And all of a sudden it it falls flat, you know? With like, I'm talking about like, Final Fantasy 13 and stuff like that. Sorry if you're a fan. Sorry. But like,
also, that's an unfortunate name, if you're called Final Fantasy and then you make 14 games.
Yeah, you're like, well, okay, well, what's going on here? Well, what were some of your inspirations actually for this whole combat system? Oh, here's another fun thing. If you do have a double of something, you can get gold right away. And I really like that mechanic. But we need a net to stick with this whole seaweed thing. And I got to keep the seaweed. We survived. However, I think that the dragon is going to gobble us up. But yeah, what were some of your influences for the card mechanics and such? Or did you just were you just kind of like, this feels right?
I mentioned drafting. No, I didn't mention drafting. I mentioned deck building.
Yeah.
But actually, a thing I was really interested in was drafting. So the mechanic where your class is represented by cards, and the cards give you moves in battle, and then the idea that equipment gives you new moves, and that means you're really building your deck by choosing loot. That was something I liked, and I've been kind of thinking about for a while. The specifics of how combat worked, Ollie, who was the game designer on the game, came up with, and I was really happy because I basically made a really bad before he joined. I'd made a really bad kind of first iteration of it that just felt terrible. It was kind of like rock paper scissors.
Rock paper scissors shoot.
Yeah, you had to you kind of chose whether you were dodging or not dodging.
I love it. But wait, what
and it
made
just wasn't
you
good.
so okay? So that's really exciting. So you built a whole mechanic, and you took it up to the altar, and you sacrificed your baby. That
brought
is
that mechanic,
huge.
that bad mechanic, to PAX South in January last year.
Oh my gosh! How?
Yeah.
How?
And, well, a
wow.
month before that, there was no mechanic. This is the interesting thing. We've done a lot of iteration with Gilded Engineering. You know, you said you can look in the thread I was posting on TigSource since October 2013. From that day one in October 2013, I was posting a playable Flash alpha version of the game. So you could play the game if you were following from the beginning.
I did
all
click on.
through
I
its
did click on
iteration.
that, and I'm like, oh, the link is
It's
dead.
gone now,
But
yeah.
you you could actually
but
play
all
this
the time
from the
while
very
I was sharing
beginning.
it, people were playing it and giving me feedback. So I was used to trying things out and seeing did they work or not, changing them. We had all kinds of examples of that. And initially, up until January of last year, combat was automatic. It was just a stats thing, and it told you who won. There was no card game. So
Oh.
that first terrible version we designed was to change that and give you some agency as the player, because already your guy moves by himself.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was like a first attempt. We kind of knew what we wanted. We were like, yeah, it's some sort of battle system that ties into the stats. But yeah, it didn't work at first. It was just bad.
It sounds like you were kind of sorry. It sounds like you were kind of aiming more towards the like fully focusing on the fact that you're building the dungeon around the adventurer and less on
Which
the...
was the focus in the beginning, yeah.
Right.
But now I think the battle system is the glue that holds it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, I don't think the game mechanics of building the dungeon are that strong. So there might be a game where you make it more interesting about how you lay out the dungeon. In the end, we didn't go that far down that road.
Well, I did see an achievement for placing 50 dungeon tiles in order, and then I think the achievement is called "Man, that's huge" or something like that. I forget what it's called.
Actually, I think it was a bad idea making that achievement because it's led people, maybe not from the achievement, but there are people, because they file bug reports. Basically, they'll play the same dungeon for like 2 hours. It's got like hundreds and hundreds of tiles, and they're basically just trying to farm loads of gold. And occasionally, if you play for that long in one dungeon, we get like some sort of memory leak, and the game will crash, and they'll lose their progress, which is really annoying, obviously. But we basically, I always designed the dungeons to be like win or lose within 10-15 minutes. Never go that big. And in particular, no need to grind money like that. We're really generous. Every time you beat a boss, you get a huge pile of money. And if you remember the original game, you couldn't replay any quest at all.
Yes.
The whole point was you didn't need to, because we just gave you loads of money. By the time you got to the end of the game,
Yeah.
you could unlock about 90, like almost the whole upgrade tree.
What I find beautiful is, I mean, if you look from 2013 and going on, how this game has morphed, how you sacrificed a lot of things, how you changed whole systems and mechanics in order to adapt. I also noticed that there were some inputs from people. I think I have it right here. There was a guy. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, your community feedback. And there was a guy named Inanimate. On his ideas, he sent you a few ideas on October 22nd of 2013. Okay, and some of his input found itself inside the game. I see, like, it was how closely you listen to your players is incredible, and all that feedback. And I really love how much.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
in the beginning, there was no game, so listening to feedback was all I had. You know, I was making this initially terrible little prototype, so feedback was joyful to me. You know, here's someone who's played the game. It's not even a game, like there was no fun yet. It's just a funny little concept I'm making. And here's people like, you know, giving me feedback based on the, you know, not even what they were playing, but more on what I was telling them my plans were to make it into. You know, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it keeps you going, you know?
when what I saw from your first, your first post, I'm sure that you changed it a lot and such, but I saw a lot of progress updates. You were very, very in tune. I did notice so you did do your first post, okay, in the beginning of October, I think it was the 6th, and you, I think there was about a week that went by that you didn't hear back from anybody or anything about anything.
Yeah, it was just me posting to myself.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
did
I mean,
how did that feel? And then how did it
that's not so
feel
bad.
when somebody?
There were other points. There were other points where there's a whole page and it's like over 2 months where it's just me kind of going, "Yep, this is what I'm doing now."
That I'm
You know,
doing.
I mean, that alone tells you why it's so cool to get feedback, because you know you're not owed feedback or time from anyone. Nobody cares about your little concept. So when someone does take time out of their day to write you stuff, like give you cool feedback, give you real criticism, like grab it with both hands. It's the best.
You can fall into like a really dangerous hole with that too, though. Like you have to know where your own personal desires lay within it too.
So your own personal inspiration and such. So yeah, how did you
It's like
tackle
kind of,
being
you know, like
true to
vision.
your well how did you tackle being true to your own vision, and then also marrying that with all that feedback? Or did you just find that it harmonized so well, and that harmony is what brought forth this game?
So we iterated a lot on mechanics, a lot, all the time, trying things out. It's not working. Try different things. But the vision for the game actually stayed the same the whole time. So it was always about you not having control of your hero, them being disposable, and that you could keep trying. And that there would be a metagame, but really the metagame was just a way to unlock new toys. The general gameplay would be you'd repeat the same thing over and over. So for us, it's the running a quest.
So how do you make game? So I guess a really big challenge was trying to make this repetitive gameplay enjoyable.
Yes, and we kind of mentioned this at the start. That's where 90% of the development time went. We just had there was one quest. It's in the game now. It's the one with Embro. It's quite early on. Embro in the bath. That was the only quest that existed. And always we were just iterating around everything else. You know, how do you play it? The cards, the battle, monsters, how do they work? And it was only in the last 3 or 4 months that was starting to come together, that we built out all the guild unlocks, all the other classes, all the quests.
Oh wow. I gotta say
but I was
again.
never worried about that side of it.
No.
So to me, if we got like that one quest feeling good and being fun and having various strategies, I knew we could just come up with lots more content.
Yeah, like so I'm sorry, I forgot I forgot to I seem to have forgotten. How long did it take for you to do the pirate expansion? Because I gotta say the pirate expansion is significant. I played through the rest of the game, but I have not finished the pirate expansion because
It took us 2.5 months.
it's difficult.
So we released it 2.5 months after release, and we didn't start on it until after we released, because we like the day before we launched, we were still finishing parts of the game.
And it's a lot of fun.
Which is the unfortunate reality around choosing a launch date.
Oh, okay.
You know, so we teamed up with a publisher. They're called Versus Evil. They've been really excellent. And part of their job was to publicize and build up and really get like particularly hype around our launch. They did a great job there. But for them to do their job, they need a date. You know,
Oh, okay.
When is it gonna? So
Yeah.
thinking back to when we're like 3 to 4 to 6 months away from finishing the game, they
Yeah.
need to know a vague date. And when you get down to like 1 month away, they need the day so they can line up with Steam, get people, all the streamers on board to be playing the game, people reviewing it. So it's very hard to know that.
I see. Wow.
So for us, when we launched, we were just barely ready, and immediately we were working on it for the next few weeks. We had
So how did that feel
achievements.
though? I mean, like I'm from a very long back history of acting and stage work and all that kind of shit. And like I remember before we had our opening night, like people are still hanging lights and shit. We're still going over our lines. We're going over the choreography and everything, hoping
That's
not
exactly
to
what it
fuck
was,
everything
yeah.
up. And we call it Hell Week because we're just so terrified of everything going together. And usually, like the day or two behind, everything seems like it's going wrong. But then all of a sudden, opening night, holy shit, it went
Kind of
okay.
barely pull it together. And
Somehow
then
pulls together.
in this case, you get to keep improving your game. So long term for players, I was okay with that. I was like, we'll fix what's missing. We'll make it all better. But what you do miss out on is reviews.
Oh, okay.
So let's say your play story first night, all the reviewers come and write it up, and then by your second week you fixed the few issues and it's all better.
Yeah.
They don't come back and review you, of course not.
No.
So it's the same with games. So we got a lot of coverage. That was amazing. But we, a lot of things that were kind of listed now, if you look at them as negatives in reviews.
Yeah,
they're
it's
things
like
that
they
have
were
been solved.
fixed. They've been fixed. It's all new.
Yeah,
and that's
but I
the
mean,
other thing.
that's fine.
So if
I can live
anyone's
with
like,
that.
well, if anyone's watching right now and they're like, yeah, I bought this, I played it a year ago, yeah, whatever. Well, guess what? There's a lot of new shit in here where you're playing
I'd
bosses
suggest playing
again.
it again.
It's and the other exciting thing is this is the part where I really start plumbing you for secrets here. Might we be seeing some more updates in the future? I see that like
Yeah, we're
the-
working on a new expansion.
yeah.
That's some months away.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'm patient.
We're not
I'm
as
patient.
quick as the first time because we're working on a few things at once. So we're working on iPad, an iPhone, and maybe later Android port of the game.
Yes. Yeah.
That's probably going to be the next thing we release. So we don't have a date yet, but it's
And
been working hard on that. That is coming soon.
that's something I should stress. I have only been playing this game right now with a mouse. So you don't need
It works great.
it works great. Yeah.
It's
It's gonna be I can see this being a beautiful fun port whenever I'm going out on auditions and shit, whenever I'm out just
a good
completely
moving game.
dead on the freaking subway, just like, or I'm I was traveling back and forth, driving, being a passenger and such. This is definitely a game that would be fun to just like pull out and play, because some of these scenarios,
They're
I-
short and replayable.
yeah, this one's
And
taking a
your-
little bit of while, but
Your long-term progress is saved.
yeah, a lot of these games will go a lot faster than what I'm playing right now, because this is a boss encounter. But oh my god, I do love your boss encounters too. I love a lot of the encounters.
You know what I think makes them good is the little lines we give them. So like if you're just fighting a dragon, if we hadn't done it, you're like, great, a dragon, that's very boring. So we made the dragon like mock you the second he sees you.
I'm sorry I missed that. I should have pointed that out. I'm sorry. There's so many
In your
wonderful.
first playthrough, the first boss that chases you, which is exactly the same behavior as this dragon, is the Mimic Queen.
Oh my
And
god, yes.
Yeah, that's the first time you're like, oh god, it's chasing me down. And it moves 2 squares a turn, right? And you can only move 1, so it's going to catch you up. But we gave it a line of dialogue that kind of hints that you can slow them down. Because you can slow them down if you put a monster right beside them. They don't move too. So we put that in as a thing you can discover as a player, and I really like that.
I'm dumb. I do remember
There's a
that there
cheat
was
code
that
for you.
little line in there. It said you can slow him down, and then I never put 2 and 2 together. But see, that's what you're here for. Well, that's
Giving away the secrets. So I do want to say the other thing we're working on is something kind of for people who've beaten the whole game. We're calling it kind of our endless mode. It's called Trophy Trial. So it's like a high score challenge mode.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about this trophy trail. Please delve into this because I'm excited. What is this?
So it's going to be like a high score challenge where you have a score of initially 0 for every class. It's totally separate to the campaign. So it's a whole new game mode you can play at any time, separate to your campaign progress. And it's basically just you get a class, you get some random unlocks, you choose between them, and then a special like rule for your run, which we call the fate, which is both good and bad. So like maybe all monsters get extra blocking, but your guy moves faster. So it's like a weird rule. And then basically the whole thing is you take on a boss, and then every time you beat a boss, everything in the game gets harder. Like every monster gets +1 health. And then we pose you the question, which is your score right now is 1 or 2 or 3, however many bosses you've beaten. Do you want to save that score, which is the only way you can score it, or do you want to quit and have 0? Basically, you quit and keep your score, or you try and get a higher score. If you die, you score 0. So it's a real push your luck thing. I think it's going to work.
That sounds very, very exciting. Very, very exciting.
So we've got like most of that built. We're building kind of like the leaderboard side of that.
That's going to be really, really cool. And so that just adds even more longevity to this game then. Because
that's definitely the reason we're working on that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's a single player game. You've played through all the content. At a certain point, you've beaten the whole game. That's it. So we did want to do something that let you replay and kind of change the rules a little.
Yeah.
That's a good solution.
I do have to say, definitely enjoy this game in short bursts. Okay? Don't do what I did.
Ration it.
Ration it.
I'm surprised
Okay.
you were able to play it for another hour after everything you've done.
I really, really, I really love and I just celebrate all the wonderful, amazing touches, and this game has just so much love in it. Like, watch this. I'll just click on these guys. Oi! I'll invent something to poke you if you're not careful. You know? Or there's like, or the little pirate right here is like, son of a double Dutchman. You know, it's so much fun. Or like, or the mime. Oh my God, this is another fun thing. So a mime. You got into the mind of a mime, and I click on the mime, wiggles finger at you.
You can make him break character if you poke him enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, now she's dodging imaginary arrows. Let's see. Dodging more imaginary arrows. Wiggles finger. Dodging arrows. Oh, she'll do it. Falls over dead. No, not really. Oh, come on. Come on. She's startled. Wiggles finger. Hey, cut that out!
There you go.
Lovely.
That's the only line in all her lines where
That's beautiful.
it's not mimed.
Dude.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun with that stuff.
Oh my gosh. There's so much love in here. Okay, so I'm gonna go exploring. As you can see, I really
Wait,
tried getting everything. Oh, I'm sorry, Kitty.
You guys are gonna go over time
think
if
we're
you
at
keep
full time here.
exploring.
Oh shit!
You could play for
I'm
like 12
sorry.
hours.
What
I
time
know
is it? I'm sorry.
It's time to switch.
Okay.
You're like, I will show the world this game for 12 days.
I am sorry.
Shut
I'm
up,
sorry. Okay, yeah, we're 3 minutes over. Colm, thank you so much.
Thanks so much for playing with us, and thanks Robot Loves Kitty for putting on the show. It's such a great idea.
Yeah, my
It's so
pleasure.
wonderful.
I'm so glad that I could have you on the show. Your game is beautiful and deserves to be seen by more eyeballs. So.
Yes, thank you very much, Colm. This is really a game that really sells itself. Do you have anything else in the works, by the way?
No, not even
Oh,
an
wow.
idea.
Okay.
We'll
Wow.
see. We've going to work on ports, expansions, new modes for a while, which is cool.
So, okay, if you really want